You are listening to episode 129 of the Autism Mom Coach, Walking on Eggshells. Welcome to the Autism Mom Coach podcast. I am your host, Lisa Candera. I am a lawyer, a life coach, and most importantly, I am the full-time single mother of a teenager with autism. In this podcast, I am going to share with you the tools and strategies you need so you can fight like hell for your child without burning out. Let's get to it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. I am so glad you are here, and I hope you are doing well. Before we get to today's topic, I want to remind you that tomorrow, Thursday, August 22nd, I will be hosting an encore presentation of how to keep your cool during a meltdown. In this training, I dive deep into what is actually happening during a meltdown for both you and your child, and the tangible steps that you can take before, during, and after the meltdown in order to stay calm and in control so that you can support your child instead of melting down alongside of them. This webinar is open to all, but in order to attend, you do need to register. To do that, you can go to the episode notes right now and register. And for all of you who attend live, you will get a special bonus at the end of the webinar, and you will get to ask me any questions that you have. All right, on to today's topic, walking on eggshells. And this topic is the perfect prelude to the Keeping Your Cool training. Because what I hear from so many of my clients who struggle to stay calm while their child is dysregulated is that leading up to the actual meltdown, they themselves have been walking on eggshells. And if you are doing this, I want to be really clear that you're getting in your own way of being able to handle the meltdown when it happens. I know this because I did it for years. All of my focus was on either trying to prevent a meltdown or spinning in my head about when the meltdown would happen, how long it would last, and what impact it would have on our day. If this is you, you are not alone, and it is a really normal response. However, like I said, it's not helpful. So for this episode, I want to walk it back a little bit and talk to you about what it means to be walking on eggshells. As a lot of you know, in my coaching program, I rely on a self-coaching model that is based in cognitive behavioral therapy. At the core of this model is the think, feel, act cycle. What we're thinking creates our feelings, and how we're feeling drives our actions. So when I think of walking on eggshells, I think of it as an action we are taking. It's something that we are doing. Walking on eggshells is when we are spinning in our heads, when we're worrying, when we are anticipating something going wrong, when we're wondering how we will deal with it, when we're worrying about what other people will think. It's an action that we are taking. And so I like to back that up. If that is the action that I am taking or my client is taking, I want to know what are the thoughts and the feelings that are driving that action. And in so many cases, the thought is something like, I can't handle this. I don't want to handle this. This shouldn't be happening. Other people are going to judge me or my child. And those thoughts create feelings such as fear and anxiety and dread. So whenever you are walking on eggshells, it's in response to your fear and anxiety, and it's based on a belief that you can't handle whatever is happening, that whatever your child may or may not do, it's something that is too difficult or too hard for you to handle. And the problem with this is two things. Is one, the fact is you can handle it. You might not want to handle it, and that I completely understand, but you can handle it. And the reason we know that is because you have in the past. You have survived all of your child's meltdowns to date. The other reason that this is a problem, and more than a problem, it becomes a vicious cycle, and I'll talk about this more in tomorrow's webinar, is that when you were walking on eggshells, when you were operating from the emotion of fear, your child can feel that. They know it, they can sense it, and they react to it. They know when you're not in control. They know when you are uncertain, and each and every time, they will continue to push the boundary. So as it goes, the more you walk on eggshells, the more you're going to walk on eggshells. The more afraid that you are, the more belief that you have that you can't handle it, the more anxiety that your child senses from you, the more they're going to react to it. And they can react to it in a number of ways. In some ways, when our children see that we're uncertain or that we're not solid in our decision making, they will push us. And a lot of times when they do push us, they get the result that they want. They ask over and over and over again. They whine and they whine. And we get to the point where we just throw our hands up in the air and say, here you go, have it. And we give up on whatever boundary that we're trying to establish. Now, I understand and I appreciate that creating boundaries is time consuming and there's a lot of energy that goes into it. But I also know that if you are not expending all of that energy ahead of time by walking on eggshells and dreading things and believing that you can't really handle it, you're going to have so much more energy and capacity to hold the boundaries and to tolerate whatever behaviors that your child is engaging in. The other thing that happens when we are walking on eggshells and we are afraid of our child's emotions is we are sending them the signal that their emotions are scary, that their feelings are scary, that there's something to be feared, which is exactly the opposite of what we want to be doing with our kids. We want to teach them emotional regulation. We want to teach them how to feel their feelings and not be afraid of them. But when we are afraid of them and we are reacting to them and we are doing everything we can to avoid them crying too much, screaming too much, making too much of a scene, we are sending the message to them in some way, shape, or form that their feelings and their expression of those feelings is a problem. Now, I understand that not all expressions of feelings are appropriate and that we do want to create some boundaries and some regulation for our children around that, but we can't do it from the point of view of us being afraid. So I really encourage you to step back at whatever behaviors that you are dreading. The whining, the crying, the screaming, the slamming the doors, whatever it is, I want you to imagine how much more effective you could be if you weren't dreading those behaviors. Because dreading the behaviors and walking on eggshells is not helping you prevent them. And it's taking away your energy and it's eroding your confidence in your ability to handle them when they do happen. Instead, I want you to think about all of the meltdowns, all of the behaviors, everything that you have handled to this point. Whether you've handled it in a way that you like or not, you have gotten through it. You are able to do this, even if you don't want to do it. And part of being able to do this is dropping the resistance to the belief that it shouldn't be happening. You shouldn't have to deal with this. It's too hard. You can't handle it. All of that is noise and it's getting in your way. It is undermining your ability to be strong in the moment and to really honestly tolerate some stuff that you really just don't feel like tolerating. For me and my son, the slamming of the doors, the yelling, the screaming, that really annoyed the crap out of me and I would dread it and I would be walking on eggshells about it. Same thing with behaviors. When I was finally able to shift from dreading whatever my son might do to reminding myself that no matter what he does, I know what to do and I know how to handle it, I was so much better able to regulate my emotions and present a solid object. And by solid object, I mean showing him that I was not wavering, that I was not afraid, that I was solid in whatever I was saying, whatever I was doing, whatever boundary I was creating. Because that's the thing about our children and really about anyone who is feeling emotionally out of control is they don't want to be emotionally out of control. They are always looking for someone that they can attach to, the solid object, the person who is going to signal to them that calm in the chaos so that even if they are spinning out of control, we are not creating more of that spin and more of that stress and anxiety by demonstrating to them that we aren't in control. All right, if this is something that you struggle with, if this is something you want to learn more about and you want to get better at, I highly encourage you to register for tomorrow night's webinar, How to Keep Your Cool During a Meltdown, because everything I talked about in this episode is part of that training. If you are not able to attend the training live, that's fine. If you register, you will receive the replay and you will get to watch it in your own time. Again, in order to attend the webinar, go to the show notes and register now. I hope to see you there. All right, that's it for this week, and I will talk to you next. Thanks for listening to the Autism Mom Coach. If you are ready to apply the principles you are learning in these episodes to your life, it is time to schedule a consultation call with me. Podcasts are great, but the ahas are fleeting. Real change comes from application and implementation, and this is exactly what we do in my one-on-one coaching program. To schedule your consultation, go to my website, theautismmomcoach.com, work with me, and take the first step to taking better care of yourself so that you can show up as the parent you want to be for your child with autism.